Charlie Hudson III. Welcome inside the Crazy Ant Farm, man. How are you tonight?
Doing great, doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, dude, we are so excited. We have so much to talk to you about. You know, the way you came up in your career is just phenomenal. And of course, Archive 81. So many questions, so many mind blown. Like what is going on with that?
So many theories. There's a lot happening. A lot of people are talking on Twitter about this one.
Yeah, oh yeah. The theories are the fun part.
Oh, always, always. And then the hard part is not being able to confirm or deny those theories, right? Like
Yes.
oh, wait a minute, oh.
Yes, and I really don't know, so that's the good thing.
So you're safe. You can say it, yeah. Well, listen, man, how we like to start the show off, though, is to try to, for our listeners and our fans who may not be familiar with who you are, just kind of an introduction, and tell us about how you kind of got started, man. Is acting did you always know, did it bite you early and say, this is what I want to do for my life, or did you fall into it, or talk to that, man?
Exactly. It definitely bit me early. I'm only child, and I love talking and entertaining, and I was always, running around entertaining my mom and dad, especially during the Thriller video and stuff. I literally had the jacket and everything.
Oh, there you go.
But the one thing in particular is really funny. I used to run up to the TV screen when the Cosby Show was on because I had the biggest crush on Rudy.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, that's my girlfriend. That's my girlfriend. So my mom and dad had to explain to me that, okay, one, this isn't real. They're acting. This is a TV show. And I was like, I could do that. So they put me in summer camp for theater at, if I remember correctly, 6 years old. And I immediately just got hooked. Got hooked. So every summer from 5 years old until I graduated high school, I was going to theater camp. And honestly, it was two different theater camps. One was for the younger kids called TAPS, Theater Arts Performance School. And then the older one for 13 to 18-year-olds, 3T, teaching art. What is it? Teaching through theater. So I was just always in it. And oh my goodness, I loved it. At one point in time, though, I did think that I was going to be a Michael Jackson backup dancer. But that didn't work out.
What happened to the dreams, man? What happened to the dreams? Did you not have the moves?
The acting bug was like, no, just come on.
Okay, yeah. Acting became the forefront when you saw his hair go up in flames, right? He's like, no, man. That's not for me.
That's so funny, man. That's so funny. Well, I was also a theater kid growing up, so I'm always curious. What was your favorite production that you were in? And tell us a little bit about the production, if not a lot of people know about it.
Ooh, my favorite one. I think it might be a tie between The Wiz and Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh.
Yeah. Both The Wiz, I did that when I was in high school, but we did it with the undergrad at Alabama State.
Oh,
nice.
Awesome. It was a huge production. I mean, a huge production. We even had some of the little kids from the summer camp as the munchkins and stuff. So that one was really cool. And Jesus Christ Superstar was my second production, once again with the undergrad program. And I was a little kid. I was one of the dancers and crowds, people running around. And I just fell in love with that show, man. We took it to ACTF to perform, and oh man, we had a ball with that production.
And it's so fun, right? I mean, on each production, some people are interchangeable, they come in and out, but each production is kind of like a family dynamic, and you can tell so many stories from each one. It takes you right back, man. It's so fun. Exactly.
Well,
I have keep up with all of my friends from those shows.
There you
go. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. And so obviously the start in theater, right? That's where it kind of goes and everything. So we always ask, because we have to ask, because it's always different from every one of our guests. How did you make that transition? Was that easy for you? Did you have to dial it back? Because you said you're a talker, and in theater, you got to play to the back, and you talk loud and everything. And then you realize the camera's right here where my mic is. And so talk about that a little bit. Was that transition difficult for you, or did you kind of just get right in and nail it, or what?
Yes and no. I would say once I got to grad school, I went to Brown University Trinity Rep Consortium for grad school. So we had a lot of different like classes and workshops about on-camera acting, and all the work is still the same.
Right.
It is one of those things of like knowing when the shots are close-ups or your personal coverage. So like you said, dial it back a little bit, still keeping the same intention, the same motor and stuff running, but just slightly dial it back, but then knowing on the wide shots, hey, you know,
that's it.
I'm not going to say have at it like you're on a Broadway stage, but you know, the performance can heighten a little bit more. And it was really cool. My first actual on-camera experience was in undergrad. I did the Rosa Parks movie with Angela Bassett and Cicely Tyson.
Yeah.
That was the first time I got to actually be on a real set and perform. So watching them work also was a great learning tool to see, oh, okay. I see even though it was millions of things going on around them, they stayed in the zone, they focused. And like I said, when it was their personal coverage, the acting and focus was so specific and so pinpoint. And the same when it was the wide coverage itself, you know, they just opened up a little bit more. So yeah, those experiences helped out a lot.
Man, that's two legendary performers for you to get your first on-camera gig, right? If you're going to learn, right, just sit back and kind of learn from, that's two to learn from right there.
Exactly. And I was taking all the notes, trying to soak up
for sure.
Everything.
That's awesome, man. And you're based out of New York right now, right?
Yes.
And so did you choose New York so you could still dabble a little bit more in theater? Because if you go out to LA, there's not a lot of theater heading out there. So did you choose New York to dabble a little bit more on with theater as well as in front of the camera?
I did. It was kind of a smoother transition.
Yeah.
Like I said, out of grad school, thank goodness we had a showcase on both coasts.
Right.
I had good response from both coasts. Mm-hmm. But I stayed on that. I had an offer to stay on that Trinity to be a company member for a year.
Okay.
Do 3 shows and then teach an undergrad class at Brown. So I was like, stay there and have work to build my resume and to keep performing, or move to LA and not have anything right off. So I was like, that's the easy choice.
Sure.
So I did that for a year. And I was in the process of, once again, trying to figure out which coast I was going to go to.
Right.
And I auditioned for a show here in New York and ended up getting cast in it. I was like, well, I guess I got to move to New York at least for the duration of that show. And thank God it was like, all right, I'll audition one more time. Okay. Thank goodness. So I just kind of built a life here. Mm-hmm. But working on both coasts is the dream. Oh, that is the dream.
For sure. And
I'm sorry. Ahead. No, has Dick Wolf called yet? Because I feel like if you're in New York, you know, eventually it's dun. You're gonna be at some point. I mean, there's not a New York actor around that doesn't inevitably end up on one of those shows. You know.
I know. I'm waiting.
Okay.
I'm definitely.
All right.
We're gonna start the social media campaign. We're gonna start it right now. I love it. But what I was curious because, you know, the podcast is built to help up-and-comers trying to break into the entertainment industry. We consider ourselves a one-stop shop of information, you know, industry news and actors' experiences and all that good stuff. Now, somebody who, you know, balances both coasts, and I mean, you do travel back and forth, either it be down to Atlanta or out to Los Angeles or back to New York. Do you keep the same agent, or is it kind of like regional? Do you have to, like, find somebody in different regions?
Thankfully for me, I've been able to keep the same ones. Mm-hmm. They actually work on both coasts.
That's awesome.
Basically just everywhere,
right?
Which is a good thing. I do know some actor friends that have had to have some on one coast and some on another.
Yeah.
And I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I suspect it can be a little tricky because, you know, they might submit you for the same thing and you don't know if you get it, who commission goes to and stuff like that.
Well, that's what I was just about to bring up. Like, communication is key in this entertainment industry. So, like, if they don't talk to each other, how is that going to work?
Exactly. But, yeah, thankfully, I have a good situation with my agent and my manager. So, and they talk constantly, and I'm in conversation with them constantly. So that's a good thing.
Oh, outstanding.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we've got to jump in because we've been having conversations back and forth. The daughter has been brought into the conversations. Like friends have been brought into the conversation. We all have different theories. We all have different thoughts. I want to go on the record though and say that I kind of thought immediately you weren't the bad guy they were trying to pin you to be. I was like, I'm thinking this guy's actually a hero trying to help and not the bad guy they want us to believe that he is, right? So I held that. I'm like, that's my theory, and I'm putting that out there. And so we were discussing all that. We're, of course, talking about Archive 81 and just, like, it's blown up on Netflix. It's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, so talk about the casting process on that. And because for anybody who doesn't know, it's based on a podcast, correct? Yeah.
And I knew nothing about the podcast until I got the audition.
Nice.
And it's funny, you get an audition, they have the sides, and sometimes they might have the script of the first episode. For this one, they did. They had the script and the sides, and they had a link to the podcast. I read over the sides, was like, oh my God, this is dope. This is right up my alley. I listened to one podcast, thinking I was going to listen to one.
Right.
I ended up listening to like the first season. Listening to it, I was immediately hooked. And I was like, okay, I have to be in this. I have to be in this. And thankfully, God worked it out that I am. But the audition process, it came up right during the quarantine process. And me, like many other people, I was extremely scared to go out.
Right.
So I didn't get a haircut. Before the audition came up, I hadn't had a haircut or anything. So big afro, my beard was huge. And one of my homegirls that used to live upstairs in my building, we were like, basically quarantined together. It was a group of actors. And she was like, no, you have to get a haircut before this. I'm going to pat it down. They're like, no. So we called over one of my friends who knows a barber that was vaccinated. He came over and gave me a haircut. And you know how like you start off reading a character and stuff, and before you have the look that you want, you don't really click into it. And it was like, as soon as I got the haircut, I looked into the mirror. I was like, I got it. So I had to send in the tape for it. And I think 3 days later, my manager called and said that they wanted to have a Zoom call back. We're like, okay, cool. And I immediately got nervous because the weekend happened, and then there was going to be the Zoom call back. So I didn't know what was going to happen.
Right.
It actually turned out to be really cool. We sat down and actually just had a conversation, just talked, got to know each other. And the whole time I was like, make sure you don't say anything stupid. Make sure you don't say But it was a great conversation. And then I think 2 days later, my agent and manager called me on three-way. And I said, hello. And they said, is this Stephen Turner? And I was like, what?
Oh my goodness. So thank goodness for your friend, right? That says, no, you got to get a haircut. Right. Because that Zoom call could have went, Charlie, you're not playing Dr. J, right? It's Dr. Turner. Like, it could have been a whole different conversation, right? I mean,
different conversation.
That's absolutely hilarious. And I mean, just off the pilot episode, your mind is just racing. I think that is what is so special about this show, is that every episode you think you have it figured out, but then the next one comes about and you're like, no, what the hell was that? Like, I don't know what's going on. And it's like a balance between supernatural and like extraterrestrial and like cult and like all this different stuff mixed into one. Like, it's honestly, anybody who is interested in at least one of those things is going to love this freaking show. And I mean, especially like, because you think about everywhere that you go, you have like a haunted building, right? And I mean, especially in New York, and you have a haunted apartment building with all these people. Like, I just absolutely loved it. And I mean, kudos to you guys. It just completely, the talent shine through in and throughout. And I mean, we're gonna have Eden on, the Super. Yeah, we're gonna have him on. So we're gonna have a good guy and a spoiler alert, a bad guy. And I also loved how, because I didn't know at first, I was like, is this gonna be a limited series that's kind of setting up that way? But then at the end, you're like, no, there's has to be a season 2, because there's like so many things unanswered. Like, for example, what happened with the house fire? We didn't get an answer about the house fire. I didn't, like, with his theory, he hopes that you didn't set that fire. I think you might have set the fucking fire. I'm just saying. I think you might have. That last, like, house scene we saw you in, you were a little angry. You were not taking that song. Like, I mean, I think it might have happened.
I'm sticking with you're a good guy, man. I'm sticking with it. Like, you did not burn anybody. You did not do it.
I have no idea.
Right.
I have my own thing. There are a lot of good theories out there.
There
about
are.
That whole thing. I read one theory. Oh, what did it say? I read one theory that said that we like snuck away and the fire was a ruse. I read another theory that said like you said that I did it, but after a while of like reading the different theories, I got so wrapped up in them. I was like, what did I do?
Well, like Logan said, from the very first episode, you're like hooked and you think you know, but you don't know. Like specifically with your character. I mean, when we're going through and it's happening and we're watching everything and you're like, no, wait. His dad just was up in there? Like what? How? Like your introduction was phenomenal. It was like, it took everybody by like, no, wait a minute. No, that can't be right. His dad. But it was excellent. So, you said earlier that you don't know, right? You can't tell the fans, you can't spoil it. So was that intentional? Did the producers and the showrunners come to you guys and say, "Yeah, we're not telling you either," so that you're kind of going along with you don't know what's going on either with the characters? That's intentional.
I think it was intentional, but I don't think it was as specific as that. It was like each episode as we go along.
Right.
We got the last one, and it said finish. We're like.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, while we were filming the last episode, there was one time in particular, Dina and I were sitting at a table, literally saying our different theories about what we think will happen in the future. And the director walked by, and then the producer walked by, and they just smiled. Like, yeah, that's cool. We're like, are we right?
Just
did and it was extra cool because everyone had their mask and stuff on, so you can kind of tell smiling in their eyes or whatever. And they just walked on up.
That's great.
No one really knows. We all have our different theories, though.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you brought up masks. How did everything feel safe on set? We are in the time where, working pandemic and everything felt safe. Was it shot in Atlanta or where was it shot at?
We shot in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And honestly, I honestly think a Netflix set might be the safest place in the world.
Nice.
We constantly were getting tested. We had different zones, always had on mask and hand sanitizer, like everything. You felt perfectly safe. So you didn't have to worry about the outside. You just had to literally just go to work and do the work. So that was one of the things that, because initially when I got cast, I feel like everybody kind of had the same thing of like, oh God, we have to fly.
Right.
Yeah.
Be in a hotel and stuff. But no, it was actually extremely, extremely safe.
There you go. Now were your bubbles tents? Like we had some of the people from Raising Dion on, and they were like, "No, bubble is like us in a tent, and we pop out there, and kind of." Is that how you guys were set up as well, like little tents?
No. We had our own trailers and stuff, just like except. Excuse me.
You're fine.
Except we couldn't, like congregate like we normally would on a normal set.
Right.
But no. One day we did have little tents one day because it had got extreme. I mean, the cold was so bitter.
Yeah.
Until you just wanted to walk outside and just punch the wind. It was that cold. So that day, they had us on the inside, and each person had like a little tent. But that was the one that was towards the end, and we were all sneaking out like, hey, what are you guys doing? What are you guys?
Well, Netflix is going to love us because we've had several shows now and several guests on that have claimed how safe their sets are. So
Yeah. I mean, seriously, man, it was the first day I got on set. I was like, I immediately felt my shoulders and tensions just go like that.
That's good.
It really felt, yeah.
I love that. And I mean, you're obviously a fan. You love the show. So what exactly is your favorite episode?
Ooh, my favorite episode. Okay, of course, the episodes that I'm in.
Of course. Come on now.
No. I honestly do like the last episode because finally a lot of questions are answered
for sure,
or semi-answered because a lot of clipping.
Yeah.
That episode is really cool. But I do also like, if I'm not mistaken, it was episode 5, if I'm not mistaken, where like a lot of the conflicts really started to really hit together.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, now I kind of think I know where this thing is going. And then once you get to 6 and 7, it kind of throws you in another loop.
Right.
But 5 and 8 were my two, because just the visual of, like, everyone did an amazing job. Every department, costume, visual effects, set, direct, like everything. But definitely the visual effects and stuff in the 8th episode was amazing, and it spooked me out, and I was in it. I'm like,
whoa. I think probably for me, I really like the second episode where it had that psychological stuff happening, where he's trying to figure out who was in the red hoodie, and then you pop up in the compound, and he's like, what the hell? Like, Dad, like, and he follows you down the hallway. I thought that was super creepy. I mean, just a little sidebar. I loved how they kind of mixed the thriller horror stuff in the earlier episodes and then turned it into this. But then also, like, episode 7 with, like you said, the CGI effects, the creature coming out of the screens, and he's like busting everything up. I thought that was absolutely, like, gorgeous cinematically.
Right. And then for me, like, the moment that Dan realizes what's going on, when he's watching the video and the medium is saying what he said, and it's that oh shit moment when he realizes he's affecting and can affect, like, for me that was it, that because I was there with him. You feel like you're like, exactly, oh shit, he's doing that, like you're right there with him with that moment, right? So that was one of my favorite moments for sure. You gotta share with, I mean, with such an epic set and such an epic cast and everything that's kind of going on and everything. Did you have a moment though where you kind of like, oops? We always ask this, like, what's your most embarrassing moment on set or on stage, and that you thought you were just gonna never get over, but of course you do. Was it on archive? Was it on stage? Give us a story.
And I mean, you've been doing it for a while, especially theater, so I know you have some good ones.
I can't believe I'm going to tell you all this.
It's just between us. Shh,
nobody else.
Just between us. Okay. So in grad school, my last year in grad school, we were doing my thesis project. We were doing Top Dog Underdog, and my best friend and I doing the show together. We literally best friends from 6 years old, roommates in theater camp, roommates in undergrad, grad school.
Awesome.
He's doing this monologue. I'm supposed to be asleep. And at first I was like, oh, I have to burp. So I tried to like ease out a quick little.
Right, just a little.
And as I eased out a burp, I accidentally passed gas. But it was one of those like extremely loud. And we were in the little theater, so everybody heard it.
Oh, man.
And they started laughing, and he looked over, so I was like, all right, I got to use it. So
right.
I looked up, I rubbed my eyes, and I shot him the bird, and I laid back down. See what I got to deal with? Everyone fell out laughing, and then the show kept going on. I was so embarrassed, though. After the show, I just kept apologizing. He was like, dude, it was a perfect moment. It was a perfect live theater moment. I was like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. The head of acting and everyone, they came and they were like, that was amazing. How did you all continue to go on? I would have been so flustered. I was like, well, I basically like had a breakdown under the covers. Like that actually happened. But it actually turned out to be one of the best performances. But that was really crazy.
Oh, I love that. That's so freaking great. I mean, especially in theater, it's crazy stuff happens, and like
it's live. Like,
and there's nothing you can do about it. It's wild, man, so wild. And I mean, with you still dabbling back and forth, is there a certain production that you would just love to be a part of? Like, for example, I would love to be a part of Hamilton. Like, I would absolutely love to be a part of Hamilton. But what about you? Is there one that you still haven't got to be a part of yet?
I still haven't gotten a chance to play Othello. I want to so badly. And I want to play Boy Willie.
All right.
Yeah. I've played Lyman, but I would love to play Boy Willie. Those are two that definitely stick out. And I have to work a little bit, get my chops back right, but to play Judas in Jesus Christ Superstar would be a dream come true.
Oh,
I can see that
for sure.
So
we've got
a couple campaigns to start for
exactly.
him.
Like, It's fine. It's fine.
Hashtag call Charlie.
That's right. See, that's the beauty. It's social media now. It's hashtag everything. We can make whatever we want happen. It's like fantastic.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah. Something else that I'm really curious about, because you're a very fun-loving guy. So what is the overall goal for your career? What is the end game for you that makes you look back and say, I really enjoyed my time here?
Honestly, just to do meaningful work, to have fun, to continue to learn, to inspire others. I feel like if you can do those things, you've had a great life and a great career. And this is one career in particular, one industry in particular, that things are always evolving and changing. So to be able to tackle something new, like this is my first experience having CGI and having a lot of stuff literally around me while I'm doing it. So that was a cool experience. So to be able to work in every different aspect of the field would be amazing. And it help other people come along as I move up in it.
There you go. That we love to hear that part. We love to hear any kind of desire to move behind the camera or on directing a stage play as well, or any kind of thing you're wanting to direct?
Most definitely. I would love to, because I already have a closer connection to the theater and to the stage.
Right.
Directing there first and foremost has always been a dream as well. But now that I kind of have an inkling about some of the things that go on, because I don't know everything that goes on for a director in either respect, I definitely would love to.
Ah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and that goes in with the learning, continuing to learn the ins and outs of it, and
exactly.
Just creating art in general is everything.
That's what we talk about too, because we also have a film and television production company, and so we're always learning, and we use the podcast, to help the up and comers break into it and give them the knowledge that if they're mingling at a party, they can bring up the entertainment news that's happening, and they can talk about it, and they can talk about experiences from different actors. But we also use it as a great way to connect with awesome people like yourself, because I mean, it's all about who are we thinking about to try to work with in this project, or who are we thinking about trying to direct with in this project. For sure. So it's all about making connections, and it's all about having a good time, because I feel like you see a lot of bad press about the entertainment industry, but there's a lot of good people in the entertainment industry. And I mean, our experience so far is a lot of people just want to help the next person, which I think is just so beautiful. Yeah.
And that's been my experience as well, because we know that we all didn't have all the necessary tools to get us to the point that we are at.
Right.
So it's like the limited, and I do mean limited in the sense that we continue to learn. Knowledge that we have is like, of course, we can only help. Only way to help is to give back and to help, like they say, lifting as we climb. And
exactly.
I love helping other people with their auditions. Sometimes with my undergrad, they've brought students up and stayed in my apartment so they can come to one of the shows I've done, or a show in the city or something. So it's always good, because like how teachers say sometimes when they help teach something, they're also learning as well.
Yes.
And just seeing and hearing other people's experiences, that helps your art as well, because you can add that into your experience as a artist in front of the camera or behind the camera. Everything is a learning experience.
Exactly.
Well, and man, the knowledge that you clearly have about the industry is a prime example of someone who has taken every advantage to soak in everything and learn everything and use that for your career and then pass along. And you clearly have done that. I got to tell you though, as amazing as skilled and as an actor you are, and as amazing as you're gaining all this knowledge and you're passing it along, you're clearly a good human being. But I'd want to work with you for the smile alone, bro.
Yeah, right.
Like you light up the room. Your smile this entire interview has just been amazing. I'm like, this guy is happy. This is a beaming smile right there, and that is infectious, right? Because sometimes it isn't easy. You know, it might be a bad day on the set, or you show up and it's like, oh, wait a minute, we're all COVID and like all this. If you can't be happy and smile and put on that front to get everybody through it, you know, and I feel like you're that guy. I feel like you're the guy that's like, come on, we got this. We got, let's be thankful. Yeah. And so I just wanted to say that, man, because the whole time I'm thinking, wow, he is lighting it up with that smile.
Man, I appreciate that. I definitely do.
Man.
Of course. Well, what we like to do at the very end of our interviews is have our guests leave a little piece of advice for the up-and-comers trying to break into it. And what pitfalls would you say to try to avoid?
Ooh. Pitfalls try to avoid.
Wait, the smile went away. Wait a minute, hold on.
No. I think the biggest one is getting in situations that are opposite of your personal beliefs or your personal aesthetic. And your personal aesthetic as far as art is concerned.
Right.
Because I don't think anyone actually ever told me growing up that I could say no to an audition or no to a particular gig if I were offered it. Because we kind of are in tune to think that out of sight, out of mind. So sometimes if there's a show that you like, I really just don't want to do this show or I don't want to take this audition, you don't have to. Because there will, thankfully, always be work out there. But to always stay prepared, but to know what your aesthetic is so you can actually turn down stuff that you don't feel you link up to. Because I think we all have kind of done a show or done something where we're like, kind of not, well, for lack of a better term, kind of miserable doing it because we didn't want to do it going into it. And we're like, well, let me just do it because I have to do it. No, it's a career that has its ups, has its downs, but the best thing to do is always be in a situation where you can give your all to it. And you can't give your all to a situation when you're not happy.
I love that. That's good.
Ooh, that's happiness. It all comes down to, are you happy? I'm really glad you said that, though, because I think, and we have talked about this numerous times in the past, myself and Logan, that I think that a lot of up-and-comers and new actors especially think you have to reach a certain level before you can start turning stuff down, that you're going to kill your career if you try that when you're way down here, right? And so I'm so glad that you said that, though, because I do feel like a lot of people compromise themselves because they feel they have no choice, but they do have a choice, and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it was something. It was a learned experience for me. I had to learn myself, but the first time, and it was cool. My agent hit me back and was like, "I'm glad you turned this one down. Good for you." And I was like, wow, okay.
You mean that's okay?
It's okay. Yeah, but if you don't know, then just keep saying yes to stuff. So
I love it, man. I love it. And like we're all about mental health. We've been talking about that a lot recently, and that is a big part of it. You don't want to put yourself in a miserable situation where going into it you might be miserable. So I mean, especially in an industry that's like it's built on confidence. So you gotta stay at your A game to be prepared for the next project that you will be in. But oh man, thank you so much for coming on the show. Like you are absolutely amazing, and it's all about social media now. So where can people follow you?
On Instagram at Charlie3Stacks.
Nice.
On Facebook, Charlie Hudson III, and on Twitter at Charlie3Stacks as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Stereo.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You can't tell we spend a lot of time together,
Right.
I
love it.
I do have one last question though. I'm curious minds want to know, and I'm just interested. Now that you've reached a certain stature and you're a known actor and you've got this whole career going and everything. Does Keisha Knight Pullman know that she started your career and about the crush? Like, did you tell Rudy? Like, I just want to know.
I haven't had an opportunity to tell her yet.
Well, we'll work on that too. We'll call Keisha up and say, "Hey, man, you started this man's career, Rudy." Like, boom.
I definitely need to tell her thank you.
That's right. Who knew Rudy Huxtable was so powerful, right? Like,
Hey, and that's what it is. You're inspiring somebody, and she literally had no idea,
Exactly.
That's it.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, take care. Thank you again, and we'll be talking to you soon, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, man. Great conversation, guys.
Oh, appreciate you. Appreciate you.
All right, you have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
All right.
Talk about a guest right there, man.
I mean, I can't stop smiling.
Yeah, seriously.
Like I told him, that smile was infectious. It's like if you were having a bad day, just step into the room with Charlie and you're like, it's all good now. Like, I mean, it's so passionate and inspired about what he does. And like, I love that, man.
Yeah, and I mean, you could tell he was just a fan of the content that he was putting out. Like, I thought that was the most special thing because you think, I mean, it is a job, but you're also supposed to have fun with it. It's supposed to be your passion. So to have someone come on and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, my theory, this theory, like, I thought that was really special and something that up-and-comers can take that away with because, you don't have to be attached to something that you're miserable with.
Exactly. And the one thing that just like really lit me up too that I was real is when he mentioned that the students come into his apartment, right? And teaching and guiding, because guys, we talk about it all the time. When you get to a certain point, if you can give back and share your story and help somebody else, that's what it's all about. And we love having people on that do that. And so, yeah, just class act, man.
Seriously. Thank you again, Charlie, for coming on the show.